Hey, y'all. Bum, bum, bum. Boom, 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 bum, bum, bum. I gotta go do something real fast. I'll be right back. Hey, hey, y'all. Welcome in. I'm here. Hey. Welcome in, y'all. Welcome in. Welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. I hope y'all having a lovely day. I hope y'all had a lovely weekend. I'm being mostly fresh faced today. No makeup. I actually don't know the last time I put some makeup on. I ain't gonna hold y'all. I don't care. Let's see. We got to get to sharing this. We got to get to sharing. Oh, we got to share it on the different platforms and such. Boom, 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 it looks like it's dragging over here on Facebook. I don't like that. Whoever's watching on Facebook, can you tell me how it is? It looks laggy. Looks like it's lagging. I don't like that. I don't know. No. Let's see. Let's go over here on. Are y'all picking up any sound over here on YouTube? Are y'all picking up sound over here on YouTube? Because it looks as though you're not picking up any sound, which can't be good. Which can't be good at all. I don't know where my microphone is. Okay. It wouldn't be Reading with Miss Taylor Said without a little complications, would it? Only a little bit? Okay, cool. I'm with that. I'm fine with that. Hopefully we got some sound over here. It looks like the little thing that says that that usually monitors my sound on YouTube is not doing the thing. Welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. Hello. We're going to get started in just a moment. In just a moment. Y'all, I'll be trying to be healthy or whatever, so I'm drinking this sparkling probiotic. There we go. It's been shared to Twitter. We're on episode 65, y'all. It is episode 65. Can you believe it? We started on November 30th of 2020, and we are on episode 65. Can y'all? I know there's one person watching on YouTube. Can you hear me? I don't know. I wonder if the person watching is somebody that don't want me to know if they're watching them. So that's why I don't say nothing. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out, won't we? I'll find out when that playback come back. All right. All right. Well, it is time. Here we are. I hope y'all had a lovely weekend. I really wish I could play music while I was, while we're waiting, but I'm not trying to get flagged. Ugh, I am not trying to get flagged, honey. Anyway, welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. My name is Taylor. I'm also known as I'm missing a light. That's what's missing. I knew something was missing. Give me 1 second. I'm missing one light. It hits. It gives it just a little bit that it needs, I was like, what's missing? That's what's missing. Just one. I'm real chill today. Welcome to Reading with Miss Taylor Said. My name is Taylor, also known as Miss Taylor Said, and I started this show on November 30th of 2020 in an effort to complete some goals that I have. One of those goals being that I would actually like to finish the books that I own. I've collected a lot of books over the years, and I have not completed all of them. And so I started a show so that I could actually read the books in a way that I enjoy reading them. Because honestly, y'all, sometimes when I'm reading, it's not that I'm not enjoying the book. I be enjoying the book. It's something about reading that's really relaxing to the point that I fall asleep if I'm just sitting there reading on my own. Like I really have to make myself sit in an uncomfortable position or be sitting straight up in order for me to read a book and not fall asleep. So and it's not because they're boring. It's so relaxing. The input of knowledge and information just makes me go, like being on an airplane. Like being on the airplane, you would think that it's not relaxing, but if I'm sitting beside that engine, sleep. No. Okay. Welcome in. Hello. So that's the first reason I started the show. The first reason I started the show is because I want to actually complete the books that I own. The second reason I started the show, number 2, I would like to get more comfortable with public speaking. No, that's not the second reason. The second reason is that I want to get more comfortable with reading aloud in front of audiences. The things that I plan to do with my career are going to involve me reading teleprompters, scripts, cue cards, speeches, reading things, whether I wrote them or someone else wrote them, and having to read them while people are watching me read them and convey them in a particular way. So I want to go ahead and get some practice with that. Funny thing, I always have some side note or whatever, blame it on the undiagnosed ADHD. One thing I've been practicing, there are these TikTok videos where the news people, the anchors, they will have a teleprompter test, and I do terrible on all of them, y'all. All of them. So I definitely got to get this practicing. You know what I'm saying? And the third reason why I started this show is because I want to get back into public speaking. I used to do public speaking in high school and in college, and it's something that I truly, truly, truly love, but I got away from it throughout my 20s, and I'm turning 30 this year, so I would like to get more comfortable with public speaking. Hey, baby. I would like to get more comfortable with public speaking. So that's why I started Reading with Miss Taylor Said. And I'm thankful for y'all being here. Welcome. We are reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. I believe the last episode we had to stop because Facebook randomly just shut down. I was having a lot of connection issues too. It was annoying. It was very head ass. But here we are. We're going to finish chapter 6, and then we're going to go into chapter 7. Chapter 6 is about internalizers. If you missed the previous episodes, you can watch all the previous episodes on whatever platform you're watching on. So if you're watching on Instagram, hey, thank you. Thank you. My little sister said I look pretty, and so now I'm just like, thank you. Hope I'm glowing. Anyway, so if you're watching on Instagram, it's my IGTV. If you're watching on Facebook, it's on Facebook. But every single episode of Reading What Miss Taylor Said is on YouTube. So, and I'm pointing to them as if y'all know which computer I'm looking at, but YouTube is the one that has all of my episodes all together on one channel. So let's go ahead and get back into the book. We are reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Dr. Lindsay Gibson. And like I said, the last chapter we were in is talking about what it's like to be an internalizer. An internalizer, so the simplest way to identify internalizers versus externalizers, when you're looking at kids, right? Kids that behave very differently. So you have one kid that's really quiet, agreeable, they may be quiet, agreeable. They're always like trying to make everybody else feel better. You see them like constantly putting forth effort to try to, make everyone happy, trying to make everyone laugh and stuff like that. Those are usually the internalizers. And then the externalizers are the ones that act out, that have a lot of just external behaviors in reaction to how their parents are, their parents' emotional maturity. So we're talking about internalizers. I'm an internalizer. A lot of times people that get into researching and trying to figure out what's wrong with them, they're internalizers. So let us go back in and let's see. The last thing that we talked about was, okay, so there's sections and subsections. The last section we were in is called Internalizers Do Most of the Work in Emotional Work in Relationships. There were different subsections under that. So there was adopting compensatory cheerfulness, doing emotional work for parents, overworking in adult relationships. And the last section that we left off on was attracting needy people. That's where I'm going to start. We probably read a little bit of it in the last episode, but we were having issues. So I'm just going to go ahead and start there. Welcome in. We are reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Welcome in. I'm going to go ahead and start. Attracting needy people. From an early age, internalizers can seem so self-contained that emotionally immature people can't resist leaning on them. Internalizers are so perceptive and sensible that even people they've never met before may instinctively trust them in a stressful situation. My client Martine described it this way: I'm the go-to person for support and an ear, the voice of calm and wisdom. People don't get that kind of response much, so they flock to me like I'm a dumping ground for their problems. I'm just trying to be a good friend and a supportive person, but it encourages people to put too much of their stuff on me. This is something that happens to me a lot. Without even knowing it, people like Martine exude an aura of kindliness and wisdom that's powerfully attractive to needy people. Fortunately, Martine eventually did realize that for her own good, she needed to be more selective about extending her natural empathy and altruism. As she stopped giving her time and attention indiscriminately, she gained more energy for her own life. That's something I'm trying to learn now, because I give out a lot of my energy. Like this show, doing this show takes a lot of energy from me in a good way, because it's what I want to do. I definitely want to be here. I love being here. It's the best. I truly love doing this. But engaging with people, it takes a lot of my energy. And then when I'm spending my day on the phone all day talking to people, it takes a lot of my energy. Actually, today I did something different to try to recharge and, reset. This morning, what I did was, I woke up. I did not grab my phone. I only grabbed my phone to turn off my alarm. I didn't grab my phone to look at social media. I saw I had messages and stuff, didn't even look at them. And then I got up, wash face, brush teeth, use bathroom, all that stuff. While I was doing that and like changing the sheets on my bed, because whatever, I need to watch. So much laundry to do, y'all. I have so much laundry to do. And I ordered some new bed sheets. So I was just like, let me put these on here real quick. They don't match. They not matching, but I'm gonna put these on here real quick. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but until the ones that I get here, I'm so excited, y'all. I know I'm excited because I feel like, I don't know if this is all, I'm going to say women just because I've mostly seen women do this, but it feels like an essential thing to be a woman in her late 20s, approaching 30, to get me a set of all white sheets. Now, how well will I maintain these all white sheets? Because your girl be sweating at night, even when I have the fan on me. Take a shower, dead skin still gonna shed. You know what I'm saying? I be coloring my hair and stuff. So, if I get a little hair color, because last time I had my hair colored, it was semi-permanent, so it would be coming off on my bed, on my pillowcase. We're gonna see. We're going to see. I probably should get back to wearing like a scarf or a bonnet or something. Anyway, has nothing to do with what we're talking about. What we're talking about is me taking care of myself and choosing not to be on social media or talk to people this morning. But I did that this morning. I listened to the Positive Dragon podcast by Anaj the Dragon. And I'm going to put that Positive Dragon podcast by Anaj. Is it the dragon or the dragon? I hope it's the dragon. The Positive Dragon podcast by Anaj the Dragon. I feel like it's the dragon, not the dragon. Anyway, the Positive Dragon podcast is a podcast where she just lists affirmations. Like she says the affirmations 3 times and you repeat them. Really great. It's usually 15. The longest one I think I've done was 20 minutes, but you put that on while you're doing your morning routine and you say it. Or if you want to sit still, like sit, look at the mirror, breathe, drink some tea, have your crystals, whatever it is that you want to do, just take that moment and do the affirmations. It's really helpful. It's been really helpful for me. I don't do them every day. I'm not consistent. I wish I was more consistent, but I'm not. But whenever I add it into my morning routine, whenever I add it into my morning, my day is better because I start the day talking up about myself, saying beautiful things about myself because podcast. So I did that. And then I listened to some sound baths. And if y'all aren't familiar with sound baths, I know y'all might be familiar with like those singing bowls where they singing bowls, right? So if you go on like Spotify, I use Spotify, but whatever streaming service, or on YouTube has a lot of really good ones. And y'all, we're reading today, but we're finishing the chapter, so I'm going to do a lot more talking today, just so you know, and I hope that's fine with y'all, which I'm assuming it is. So sound baths, there are different frequencies that your brain reacts to differently. So there are frequencies that open up like the parts of your brain that, process love and healing and stuff like that, and unblock the chakras and all that stuff. I'm not explaining this well, but it works. Okay. And they have some that are for sleep. There have been times where like, instead of watching TV while I'm falling asleep, I will open up YouTube and have one of those sleep meditation, sleep, frequency things playing. And like, they'll be like 10 hours long. So I'll go to sleep, wake up, and it's still playing. And if I play, and I really noticed that if I play those frequencies, like the ones on YouTube, and sometimes it's not just like it's not that, like they'll play music that lives on that frequency. Right. And I'll play that while I'm just doing stuff around the house. And so it's like, it's giving me the satisfaction of hearing something and not being in silence and just hearing the sounds of like appliances coming on and off and stuff like that. It gives me that feeling while also, allowing me to not have to process. It gives me a space where I don't have to process, what is it that I'm trying to say? I don't have to process like words and people talking and even like musical changes. Like I don't have to, like, even if I played like lo-fi beats or something, there's something about those that it's just like, I'm still paying, because I played music and I was in orchestra and stuff. And I've, only dated people that do music in some sort of way. I'm always around music and stuff. So it's like, I've always been around music. So like, hearing something that doesn't draw my attention, but is also working on my mind I love sound baths and frequencies for that. Anyway, when I changed that in my routine, like this morning when I didn't do that, I ended up spending half a day not on social media. And let me tell you, it was freaking amazing. I got to do other stuff with my day that I enjoy more than being on social media. And I forgot how much I enjoy other things besides being on social media, because baby, every time that screen time summary report comes up on a Sunday, baby, I be embarrassed every time. Every time. I be so happy when it says your screen time went down this many %. I'm like, yes, thank you. Anyway, let's get back into the book, shall we? Without even knowing it. Okay, we said that. Okay. In the course of therapy, another client finally realized how widespread her automatic caretaking had become, extending even to people she didn't know. She found herself engaging with chatty strangers in elevators and lonely passersby who tried to strike up unwanted conversations. Do I have a sign around my neck? She wondered. She felt obligated to give everyone a warm response, doing emotional work even for people she'd never seen before. And the fact is, needy strangers will gobble up a sensitive person's attention if given half a chance, whether on an airplane, in an elevator, or while waiting in line. The next section is called Believing That Self-Neglect Will Bring Love. Ooh, this one's gonna hurt. I really wish I was in here. Ain't no viewers right now except for YouTube. Wish I was in here though, because we got some good stuff going on. I love to have y'all engagement, but it's all right. It's a Monday. I understand. We're trying to recover from the weekend. And the crazy thing is we ain't even recovering from like drinking and partying and blah, blah, blah. It's just, that's the first time in the week that you don't have to think about all the stuff you have to do. And then as soon as you get comfortable in it, Monday happens. So Monday is really like extra Sunday of trying to reacclimate yourself to getting back into work. Anyway. Okay. Believing that self-neglect will bring love. Many internalizers subconsciously believe that neglecting oneself is a sign of being a good person. When self-absorbed parents make excessive claims on their children's energy and attention, they teach them that self-sacrifice is the worthiest ideal. A message that internalizing children are likely to take very seriously. These children don't realize that their self-sacrifice has been pushed to unhealthy levels due to their parents' self-centeredness. Sometimes these parents use religious principles to promote self-sacrifice, making their children feel guilty for wanting anything for themselves. In this way, religious ideas that should be spiritually nourishing are instead used to keep idealistic children focused on taking care of others. Be good so you can go to heaven. Be good so you can go to heaven. There's a reward for you behaving and being obedient. Honor your parents. Honor your mother and father. Okay? Honor your mother and father and obey your parents, because good children go to heaven, right? Good children, God loves you. If you're bad, I remember the devil being used as like when you weren't behaving or you weren't lining up with what my parent thought was correct, you got called the devil. And using religion to make people behave. Children don't inherently know how to protect their energies. They must be taught how to engage in good self-care, something that happens when adults pay attention to their needs and reinforce the fact that they need rest, sympathy, and respect. For example, sensitive parents teach their children to notice and identify their fatigue instead of making them feel anxious and lazy for needing rest. Stop making kids get up at 6 o'clock on Saturday to clean the house when they need sleep. They just had a long week of school. And yes, school is as mentally taxing as you going to work every day. It just is. Unfortunately, emotionally immature parents are so self-focused that they don't notice when their children are getting overwhelmed or trying too hard. They're more likely to take advantage of a child's sensitive, caring nature rather than protect the child from overusing it. And if parents don't teach their children about good self-care in adulthood, those children won't know how to keep a healthy emotional balance between their needs and the needs of others. This is especially the case with internalizers. Because of their attunement to others, they can get so focused on other people's issues that they lose sight of their own needs and overlook how the emotional drain is harming them. In addition, they are secretly convinced that more self sacrifice and emotional work will eventually transform the unsatisfying relationships. So, the greater the difficulties, the more they try. So, that makes me think about when I was in an abusive relationship. I kept holding out for the good times. I would use the memory of early good times to keep me going as fuel to keep me in the relationship, because it just always seemed like, well, once we get over this financial thing, once we get over this emotional thing, once he gets over this, once this thing stops in his life, once that thing stops in his life, once this thing changes in his life, then it'll all be worth it because he won't be stressed anymore. Therefore, he won't need to hit me anymore. Therefore, I will be fine. When we get to marriage, things will be good. We'll be happier because, we'll have our own house. We won't be living with other people, like, because we were in a housemate situation. So we had a house with two other people. We won't be living with other people anymore. We'll get to move and be free. I had all these like caveats for like what would happen once things got good. What would happen once things got good? And so I was like, I found honor and nobility in long suffering, because it's just like, because that phrase fucking long suffering, like, gets thrown around, and it's just basically, I can't make you happy now. So if you just suffer this little bit, if you suffer for this amount of time, I'll make you happy. I'll make a deal with you. I'll do this for you. And like, Christianity specifically teaches you that if you endure this suffering, when you die, you'll be free and you'll be happy. Slavery, if you just endure this suffering, when you die, you'll be free. If you just endure this right now, if you just endure this abuse in a relationship, when you get to marriage, no worries. It'll be better. When I don't have this stress in my life no more, I won't have no reason to hit you or abuse you no more. So you'll be all right. You'll be free. When in reality, it's just like, no, there's no reward for suffering unjustly. There's no reward for someone making you wait for goodness. Someone making you wait for them to treat you right. Where's the reward in that? Where's the love in that? Where's the care in that? I gotta wait until you get yourself together for you to treat me right. I gotta wait until you love yourself for you to treat me right. Don't worry, I'll leave. That's what we're doing now, y'all. If someone's making you wait for goodness, and when I say wait, I mean like they're intentionally mistreating you over and over and over and over again because they can't get themselves right. Because people that do that are usually emotionally immature and need to like go to therapy, do the self-care, do the shadow work, do all that stuff. They got to do all of that in order to what is it? They have to love themselves and they have to be okay with themselves. They have to know how to treat themselves. A lot of times, these people that mistreat us, they don't know how to treat themselves, so they don't know how to treat you. They don't know how to be good to themselves, so they don't know how to be good to you. They don't believe that they deserve goodness. Get into questioning with them. Talk to them. Talk to people that mistreat you. And I mean, I understand. I'm not saying like go and start a conversation with them. But if you are in a situation where you're constantly being exposed to someone that does not do right by you, when you get in conversation with them, like there's a way to do a line of questioning to get to the root of why they feel the way they feel. Because like I said, if people are comfortable mistreating you, and they're comfortable with disrespecting you. They're comfortable with using the concept of long suffering to make you feel like if you just stay around for this, I promise you in the end you're going to be happy. Why are you making me wait for goodness? Why you don't already have that goodness within you? Let's talk about you. So what's going on? What's going on? And when you start asking questions, and I wish I could think of a question to ask, but when you start asking questions and finding out why they feel the way they don't feel like they deserve love. They don't feel like they don't feel like they deserve goodness. And so they project that onto you. They project that onto others. They treat others as if they don't deserve goodness when it's truly them that believes that they don't deserve goodness. And everyone deserves to be happy. Everyone deserves to be happy. They do. Even the people that wronged us the most. The person that abused me, he still deserves happiness. He deserves healing. He deserves joy. The person that lied to me, Valentine's Day, he deserves happiness. He deserves joy. My mother, who I have a rough relationship with, who is the reason why I have to read this goddamn book and I'm all like this, she deserves happiness and she deserves joy. The sad part is that those people, specifically them, but not really specifically them, didn't believe that, didn't know how to get it themselves. And if they did believe it, a lot of times it's the version of I deserve happiness. It doesn't come from like the I deserve attitude that they may have. It doesn't come from inner peace. It comes from their ego. And their ego is telling them, I feel you, Sorante. But guess what? One of these days, I have this one book. I haven't read it yet. I have this one book that I'm thinking about reading. Thinking about it. It's called Why Forgive. And it's because I know. It's because, here's the thing. Just because I know why they're doing it doesn't mean I don't hold them accountable. Make no mistake. When people wrong you, they deserve to be held accountable. When they hurt you, when they cause emotional harm, they deserve to be held accountable. However, we can recognize why they did what they did. The more information I gain reading these books, y'all, the more I see how people in my life were simply reacting to their own childhoods in the way that they treated me. Listen, the person that abused me, textbook internalizer that externalizes. He internalized the pains of his childhood, internalized the neglect and all of the stuff that he saw in his childhood, that aloneness that he experienced in his childhood. I mean, and it don't matter how much y'all know about him, but that he externalized the emotional turmoil he was going through on me and on others through anger. But he was an internalizer. That was one reason why we got along so well, is because we both are similar in that way. My mom, same thing. I don't know if she's an internalizer or an external. I think she's an externalizer. But I mean, she didn't have a great childhood. There were a lot of things that happened to her in her childhood that are beyond traumatizing. And like there are events that happened in her childhood that were beyond traumatizing. And then there was the day-to-day of her childhood that was like difficult because you want your parents there. And if you can't have your parents there I love my grandma and grandpa. I love my grandma. Hey, welcome in. Love my grandma and grandpa. They are my most litty, chaotic, fun ancestors, right? However, they did not provide a great childhood for my mother or her sisters by any means. By any means. So, like, my mom having kids, she couldn't even heal from her childhood before she started having kids. She didn't even recognize, she probably couldn't even, by the time my mom had my sister, you know, she was a teen. She couldn't even freaking recognize that like something was wrong. Her brain literally wasn't finished developing before she had 2 kids. Brain's finished developing at 25. Her brain was not finished developing before she had 2 kids. Bruh. I can't imagine having children now, and I'm 29. And I'm just now getting to a space. And I'm turning 30 this year. I'm just now getting to a space mentally where I feel like I could adequately love a child and not traumatize them from all the emotional damage from my childhood. Because the thing is, it's like what ends up happening, it's almost like, how do I want to put this? What metaphor do I want to use? It's like when you're doing math, right? And I don't want to use math. Basically, it's like my grandparents, they had emotional junk. They had a lot of emotion. They had emotional trauma because they were raised like, y'all, being black, whether you're half black, full black, whatever, you come from people who, if you are a descendant of someone who was enslaved in this country, we are not that far removed from enslaved ancestors. My last enslaved ancestor was 5 generations back. 5. That's it. 5. There are people right now, and so like, okay, just gonna get in my family business, whatever. So, enslaved ancestor, right? He got his freedom, got land, passed that land to his daughter. Daughter has the land, has her family, spreads that land between her children, has my great-grandmother. I knew my great-grandmother. Do you see how my great-grandmother's grandfather, my great-grandmother, who I knew, her grandfather was enslaved? Like, that's how close it is. So then great grandpa, then my great great grandpa, my great grandmother, my great grandmother, who had a child at a young age. My great great grandmother had a child at a young age. My great grandmother had a child at a young age. And then my grandmother had children at a young age. My grandmother had all of her children before she was, I want to say she had all 3 of her children before she was 23. Okay. I don't even think she was, honestly, I don't even know if she was that old when she had them. I'm not doing the math right now. And then my mom, who had a kid as a teenager. So you have these generations, 5 generations that quickly freaking happen. Who has time to heal, process their childhood, heal from their childhood, and then make the decision to have children? Nobody did. So everyone was a baby having a baby. And now, just like that, I'm 5 generations removed from my last enslaved ancestor. So whatever didn't get addressed in those 5 generations is now on my generation. It's now on me, my siblings, and my cousin to freaking work out and deal with and understand and process and make better so that we don't continue a legacy of trauma. It is hard to break generational trauma. I won't even say curses. It is hard to break generational trauma. It is hard to heal generational trauma because I am 5 generations removed. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. I know that for Black Americans and like for those of us who are the descendants of enslaved Africans, like it's kind of hard to think about. Like it's like it still feels far away, even though like 5 is a small number. Like that's a small ass number. It's hard to think about, but it's like our generation is carrying such a heavy load because we have so much information. We have so much exposure to self-diagnosis as far as mental health and just even the knowledge of mental health, the knowledge of proper sex education, the knowledge of all the things that we have. It is heavy. Yo, millennials got the fucking like, wow, we really got the brunt of it because how many those other generations before us did not address that emotional trauma, and they carry it and they carry it, and then they pass it on to us, and they be like, why are you crying? Why are you like, and basically it's like we're reading this and it's just like, why are you internalizing my trauma? Because baby, you didn't do anything about it. Because you didn't do anything about it. Because your mama didn't about it, because your grandma ain't do nothing about it, your great grandma ain't do nothing about it, because they couldn't. They just literally fucking couldn't. And so now here we are having to pick up the load. Here we are, Atlas, shoulders weighed down by the trauma of the generations before us. It is hard to be a Black millennial. It's hard. It's easier than ever to be an adult, I'm assuming. Maybe not. I don't know. We have a lot of things. We have access to a lot of things. But as far as breaking this emotional trauma, as far as dealing with what our parents had to endure, what our grandparents had to endure, and did not have the space to process, think about, or even worry about, because we got to take care of these kids, these bills. We got to do this. We got to deal with racism. We got to deal with Jim Crow. They had to deal with so much shit that they could not even spend the time looking within themselves and recognizing this is my individual trauma. It's not fair. It wasn't fair. How is it fair for you as an individual to talk about your trauma and your individual trauma when all of us are being discriminated against on a daily basis? All of us are being put in this position on a daily basis. It's hard to think like that. It's hard to even, who gave a fuck back then? No one. So you know what happened? The people that were born in the 60s, late 50s, 60s, they had like us, they experienced a lot of first. Somebody put it into perspective. If your parents were born in the 60s, by the time they got to school, they were the first generation of people that were desegregated, that went to school with other kids that weren't of the same race as them. You know how much of a mind fuck that would be? Where like you got to send your child was born never knowing Jim Crow, for real. Your child was born never knowing about the marches, never experiencing the marches, never experiencing all of the hardships, don't know nothing about sharecropping, none of that. They are really, truly the first generation of children that are born somewhat free, where they can commingle with white people, right? You send them to school. Guess what? When they become adults, they don't know nothing about that kind of separation. They don't know shit about that kind of separation. They've seen some, they've experienced it, they heard about it, or maybe they didn't hear about it because that shit was so traumatizing that our grandparents didn't talk about it. Our grandparents and great grandparents did not talk about it with our parents because it hurt. And there was no psychiatrist there to process that with them. There was no psychotherapy for them to use to process that. And if there was psychotherapy, don't forget, like everything, oh gosh, I'm on a soapbox, don't mind me. Everything, but it matters. I'm on a soapbox, but it matters because when we're reading these books that are written by white people, we have to understand they are not taking into account the racial experience. They're not taking into account the layer of racial injustice and racism that our parents and grandparents and great grandparents generations had to fucking deal with. So there, that added factor, I'm going to go ahead and add that because I study African American studies in college and I'm a Black woman. So I'm going to go ahead and add that, y'all. I have grace for our parents and grandparents and the generations before us. I have grace for them because there's no way. Like, their life was like our summer last year. Do you remember? Do you remember last summer? Do you remember the protests that were happening in every city, in every state, all over the world? They had that going on with no social media. With everything had to be done manually. Like, our lives are so easy in so many different ways. Like, think about everything that you do, the every ways that you communicate with people, every time you look up something, and add 25 steps to the one thing that you can do. You want to Google what like, I remember Mark Maron. Mark Maron is a Jewish comedian. He had this joke where he talked about how things were. He kind of did this thing where he did like a day in the 90s. He talked about like riding down the street, riding to work with the cassette tape. You know, the cassette tape skips because of that one time it got jammed and everything. And then he talked about how he got to work and he was trying, and like while he's driving to work, he tries to remember freaking Peanut Guy. Who's the Peanut Guy? The scientist. He used peanuts. Freaking Peanut Guy. He has 3 names. What is his freaking name? Now, we all know George Washington Carver. We all know that we could just sit there and look it up on our phones. Peanut Guy, 3 names. George Washington Carver, no problem. He talked about how he got to work. He calls his friend, leaves a voicemail for his friend that's like, Peanut Guy, who is it? I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. Da, 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 da. He spends a whole day racking his brain. His friend called. He gets home. His friend left a message and was just like, I hope you're okay, dude. I went to the library. It's George Washington Carver is his name. I went to the library. I'm at the library right now looking up stuff. If you need me to look anything else up, because you had to go to the library. Use the Dewey Decimal System. Encyclopedias. You remember Britannica? You remember all them goddamn books? Do y'all remember? Our generation remembers. Our generation remembers having to go get that big, thick dictionary. You didn't know a word? Okay, well, let's see. I don't know a word. Now I have to go to my dictionary, hope that I can spell the word if I don't see it in writing, hope that I can pronounce and spell the word correctly and it not be a weirdly spelled word because it's English. Look it up. Like, bruh, everything used to take longer. We know that we're fucked up in the head because we have the information presented to us on a regular basis on social media. We are exposed. The reason I knew about this book is because people posted it on social media. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been exposed to it. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that we have this experience. I need to go ahead and finish the reading before we run out of time. I'm not that we're going to run out of time, but I'm thankful for the experience, but that right there. So all that stuff I just talked about our parents and their generation, believing that self-neglect will bring love, being Black in America, you're constantly being gaslit to believe that self-neglect will bring love, that if you just suffer a little bit more, you'll get your rights. If you just suffer a little bit more, just a few more people die, just a few more people get lynched, just a few more people are beaten and mutilated and we have to see Black death and trauma and abuse everywhere. If you could just hold out for just a little bit longer, bitch, we've been holding out for how fucking long? You shouldn't have even brought us here. We shouldn't even be here in the first place. And now you sitting here telling us we got to wait a little bit longer. You got to wait a little bit longer. The indoctrination that Black people are meant to suffer got passed to our parents, because it came from their parents, because their parents were raised in a, it's that matters. That part of it matters. Self-neglect will not bring love. But when you are Black in America, that is how you have to exist to survive. That's why I'm here. That's why we're doing this. Because I need a space for us. Ooh, not emotional. I need a space for us. I'm fine with people of different races being here, but we need a space where we can process our childhoods, specifically from the perspective of being Black with these childhoods. Because a white person just experiences this. They don't experience that extra layer of racism that fucks up their whole life. Like they don't have to experience their parents or anyone telling them, don't behave in this way that comes natural to you because white people are around. Because there's a danger there, not because it's necessarily embarrassing, but they might see your behavior. They might see your excitement, your joy, your anger, and view you as dangerous and then harm you because your skin is Black while you're behaving like that. Even if there's a white person beside them behaving the exact same way, they're going to look at you. Black parents have to raise their kids knowing that they're going to have to deal with racism. And the Black parents that try to ignore the racism bit because they think they're protecting their kids, just postpones what they are already going to have to do, what they're already going to have to learn when they become adults. It is not peaceful. It is not easy. It is a heavy load that we have as Black millennials. It's a heavy load. Oh, it's heavy. I didn't even know we was going to go here tonight, but here we are. I'm going to continue reading because like I said, we're almost, let's go ahead and get this done. Okay. Unfortunately, emotionally immature parents are so focused that they don't notice when their children are getting overwhelmed or trying too hard. They're more likely to take advantage of a child's sensitive, caring nature rather than protect the child from overusing it. And if parents don't teach their children about good self-care in adulthood, those children won't know how to keep a healthy emotional balance between their needs and the needs of others. This is especially the case with internalizers because of their attunement with others. Because of their attunement to others, they can get so focused on other people's issues that they lose sight of their own needs and overlook how the emotional drain is harming them. In addition, they are secretly convinced that more self-sacrifice and emotional work will eventually transform their unsatisfying relationships. So the greater the difficulties, the more they try. If this seems illogical, remember that these healing fantasies are based on a child's idea of how to make things better. As children, internalizers tend to take on the role self of the rescuer, feeling a responsibility to help others even to the point of self-neglect. Their healing fantasy always involves the idea, it's up to me to fix it. What they can't see is that they've taken on a job no one has ever pulled off, changing people who are not seeking to change themselves. It's hard for internalizers to give up the fight to be loved, but sometimes they eventually realize they can't single-handedly change how another person relates to them. They finally feel resentment and begin to withdraw emotionally. When an internalizer ultimately does give up, the other person may be caught off guard since the internalizer has continued to reach out and try to connect for so long. And that's what's happening in my relationships. There are people, especially family members, that are just like, oh, Taylor don't come around no more. Taylor don't call no more. Taylor don't do this. I've given up on trying to earn love by suffering. I've given up on trying to earn people's love by suffering. I had to be the one to get my parents to parent me. and participate in parenting me. And when I say that, I mean, like, if I want to see my dad, if I wanted to see my dad, even now, if I want to see my dad, I have to make the phone call. I have to be the parent. I have to be the one to reach out. Same with my mom. If I want, and anyone in my family, everyone in my family, if I want to see them, I have to reach out. If I want to hear from them, I have to do the work. I have to be the one to be the bigger person always. And the family member, one, that doesn't require that of me is my little sister who's 18 years old, who I've emotionally raised since she was 13. If I want them to love me, I have to do the work, and I am no longer willing to do that. If people want to love me, they know where to find me. They know my number. I have a show. I'm here every week, for the most part. And I ain't bitter no more. I ain't bitter no more about it. It just is what it is. All right, summary. Summary for the chapter 6. I can't believe I stretched out the 3 little pages for a whole hour. Look at that. But it's going to be perfect because then tomorrow we start fresh on chapter 7. Okay? Summary. Internalizers are highly perceptive and extremely sensitive to other people. Because of their strong need to connect, growing up with an emotionally immature parent is especially painful for them. Internalizers have strong emotions but shrink from bothering other people, making them easy for emotionally immature parents to neglect. They develop a role self that's overly focused on other people, along with a healing fantasy that they can change others' feelings and behaviors towards them. They get by on very little support from others and end up doing too much emotional work in their relationships, which can lead to resentment and exhaustion. In the next chapter, we'll take a look at what happens when internalizers' true self finally wakes up and they see that they've been giving too much. I'm very excited to hear about that. Breaking down and awakening. It's going to be a breakdown for real. We're almost done with this book, y'all. We are heading to chapter 7, and I am very excited about what the next chapter is going to bring. I hope that y'all have had a lovely Monday. I hope that y'all got something out of the show. I got a little bit on my soapbox, but it's important to remember the Black factor. It's important to remember the Black factor. That when we're reading stuff about psychology, and even when we're going through, when y'all are picking your therapist, please be careful to pick someone that you don't have to explain things that are normal to you, right? So if you're queer, get someone that works with queer clients, because if you get someone that's cis, hetero, and Christian, they already are not on your side, more than likely. And so they're not going to be understanding. There's things that you're going to have to explain to them. If you're Black, I would highly recommend that you go to a Black therapist or a therapist of color, because the factor of racism being infiltrated into every part of your life and your existence and your experience, that is a lot to explain to someone that don't experience it. I'm not saying it's somebody that fits into all the demographics you fit into, but just think about that and remember that. I hope that y'all have a great day. I love y'all. I want us to, as always, we do all this because I want you to be the you that you can possibly be. You deserve to be. You deserve to be yourself. All right? Hope y'all have a great night. I will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. because today was the first day that we started officially starting the show at 7 p.m. The show now starts at 7. So I will see y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. I hope y'all have a great night. Bye. Bye. And see y'all later, YouTubes.